Hi everyone, it's Marla. Welcome back to Twinstrology. I hope that you're doing well. Today we are going to talk about the energy of November and a little bit going into December. And the phrase that I've got for this period of time or this month is bridge between timelines. So most of you are feeling a timeline shift in which a lot of the things in your old reality are falling apart. They're crumbling and that new reality hasn't yet materialized. So we find ourselves in this energy of a void or not having clarity, or we really don't know what is going to happen next. It might even feel like if you try to get on that timeline by pushing and trying to um, anchor that timeline, it's almost like you can't because your intuition is like, nope, it's not quite time to do that. So you have to pull your energy back and just be patient. And that's something that my guides have been telling me a lot. Patience, patience, patience. Because yeah, we are in this bridge, and why we need to wait is because right now we're doing intense clearing work, and this clearing work has to be done so that we can elevate our consciousness and our vibration to align. So a lot of the October, November, December is about alignment with the spiritual and letting more of that 3D energy collapse away. The thing that has happened that is making it difficult for many people right now is that as we're going through this clearing, we're getting a lot of interference. And a lot of people are contacting me and saying, I'm feeling like I'm under attack. I don't know what to do. I need help. So I want to try and explain why the interference feels the way it does right now. And, we're talking about things that are very multidimensional, and there's a lot of different ways to view it and a lot of different ways to explain it. So, what I'm trying to do here is to give it some broad strokes so that maybe you can see it from a different perspective. So we're clearing things, very deep things, because many of you have been on this journey for a long time. You've been doing a lot of clearing work. And so you're really getting down into like that very meaty stuff, but it's been stuff that's been probably pretty subconscious for most of you. But because we've recently gone through a third eye activation, very big third eye activation, these things are no longer remaining conscious, subconscious rather, because our consciousness has expanded enough that we can take it in. But as we try to leave the matrix and going along with this higher consciousness, when we're talking about leaving the matrix, and again, this is something that happens layer by layer by layer. Most people don't just wake up one day and are like, I'm exiting the matrix. Even though we like to speak about it in those terms, it's actually something that takes time. And even, has a person that is a practitioner of spirit release therapy, where I'm removing entities and implants and artificial intelligence and things that are put on us from the matrix. It's like you remove them, but they try to put that right back on you. So, it's it's you got to keep one step ahead of them in keeping yourself clear. So, you're trying to leave that, and that energy is trying to hold you in. Now, when it comes to what we're clearing here and the interference, they're kind of joining up with each other, if you will. Because the source of the interference is, first of all, direct interference. So, direct psychic attack from something whether that's the matrix, the dark forces, or maybe a person that's in your reality. We also have some karmic energy. Then there's childhood things that are coming up. Let me go on to the next one. And then we have relationships. So relationships are changing, and you might be having some kind of interference coming through a relationship. So what happens is you're clearing something. Let's say you're clearing a childhood pattern, something from abandonment, let's say. So something happens that is a trigger, and it sends you into an emotional flashback of childhood abandonment. That's going to trigger all of those emotions and thoughts about that time period. And what is that going to do? It's likely going to make you angry or very sad. That can lower your vibration and make it easier for interference to attack you. Or you're being directly attacked, and the way the attack comes in is it's triggering that childhood wound, sending you into that emotional flashback in an attempt to lower your vibration, make you ungrounded, feed off your energy. You might be in a relationship with someone that has a very strong karmic element to it, and something about that relationship is coming to a head because, again, like you have awakened to a whole nother level, so you're seeing things differently. And maybe as you try to leave that relationship, that person doubles down on the negativity, and you get psychically attacked by that person, which likely when you're in those relationship types of attack, that again tries to pull you down into a childhood or karmic pattern to make you sad or angry, lower your vibration, and make it easier for things to feed off of you. Hopefully that gives you some idea of how attacks can come in. But to be honest, at least for me, I'm not clear on what happens first. Is it a direct attack on us that triggers the other things, or is it we get triggered by the karma, let's say, which allows something to attack us? Me personally, I think it can be both. I think one thing can lead to that opening, and I think sometimes the attack creates the opening. But if you feel like you're dealing with a lot of dark energy, this is the source, and I hope that explains a little bit or gives you a way to perceive it, to understand it. Now, at the same time, many of you are probably experiencing things in your physical body as well. You might be feeling ill. You might be dealing with colds, flu, viruses, allergies, just pain, like a pulled muscle, a sprain. Maybe you have, often we have a pain that comes back. Also, because of the dynamic of clearing things, you might be dealing with stuck energy because as you're clearing, your etheric body is energetically shifting. So energy can get trapped in there, and you want to move your body to help release that, whether it's walking or exercising, stretching, yoga, whatever, keeping your body moving can be helpful. But when we're under psychic attack of any kind, the body becomes dysregulated. And if it's an entity or an implant, those function in a way that it wants to dysregulate your body because that's one of the ways that it's able to control you. So because of this, It's really a time for radical self-care. You may need to isolate yourself. You may need to rest. Take time to go do something fun that you enjoy. That's going to help counter any emotions that might be coming up around the things that you're still letting go of. Now, there is a strong planetary energy around this in November. Some of the big players here are Pluto, number one. Pluto's very much affecting us right now, and Uranus as well. Pluto and Uranus are in trine to each other, and Uranus is going to be moving from Gemini back into Taurus in its retrograde in November as well. The North Node is also playing a strong role here. Also in November, we have Mercury retrograde on November 9th, which is Mercury's going retrograde in Sagittarius. And most importantly, we have a Scorpio new moon on November 20th, which I feel is going to be very powerful. And I'm going to try and do a whole video just on that new moon. But at that new moon and throughout the month of November, the planets are really working in harmony with each other. It's like they're all communicating to each other, and it is all, I feel, in support of us. I mean, really, I feel that the planets reflect us more than we are reflective of the planets. And so I see those planets working in harmony has a sign that we are working in harmony with each other, even though it seems so far from the truth when we look at the 3D reality and everything seems to be going a little bit crazy and off kilter right now and everything's so chaotic, but it's really not. In fact, I had a message from Mary Magdalene come through the other day, which maybe I'll share at some point, but part of the message was that we all need to have hope because hope is really what is going to change the planet, and that we can't focus on the division that we feel around us because it's really that division that is changing us and bringing us closer together, even though it appears as the opposite. That is an illusion. But of course, we're in Scorpio as we are heading into November as well. We're in the sign of Scorpio. I mentioned Pluto. So this is deep, transformative spiritual work. November is very much the phoenix rising from the ashes type of month. But we can't leave the matrix until we get rid of these core wounds, and that requires us delving into the shadow right now. Many people are waking up right now. They're in the throes of waking up because they know that they can't continue on the way that they have to change now, or their life is only going to get more challenging. And I'm sure you all know somebody that is very much stuck in old patterns. You know, in their heart they want to change, but they're so entrenched in their own pain and the cords of the matrix that they're struggling to find the way out. And when they go back to their old patterns, negative things just keep happening to them because the universe is really now like, you have to wake up. So I mentioned psychic attacks from karmic relationships. The astrology as well this month. I feel that people are really going to be ornery. And you're probably thinking, people have been ornery, Marla. How much worse can it get? Well, this month we have Mercury retrograde, as I mentioned, but Mercury is traveling with Mars and opposing Uranus, and that can equal anger. Especially, I think, when Mercury goes retrograde or those two planets come together in Scorpio. Yeah, just watch out for people. As I said, you might want to isolate yourself a little bit. Also, we have asteroid Karma opposing Chiron and making a square to Jupiter. And on November 9th, which is the same day that Mercury goes retrograde, the moon is going to be triggering that T square. So I think that that can also trigger a lot of old emotions for clearing, especially because it's in the cardinal signs, Aries, Libra, and Cancer. And so with those signs, you're trying to be yourself, right? Aries energy is I'm trying to be myself. Cancer energy is like I've got all these family patterns and soul programming uh, that's weighing me down. And then the Libra energy is I want to be myself, but I want people to like me too. And I want to be in relationship. And, if I'm myself, then all these people aren't going to like me because my parents didn't like me. So you see how that's triggering those childhood and karmic relationship wounds. And with that energy as well, I think it's a time for us to grieve the loss of the old self, grieve the loss of old relationships, even grieving the loss of the world as we have known it. Even though many of us want to move into a new reality because we can see how toxic this old reality is. Like anything, when we're trying to move on into something new, we have to let go and grieve the old. There's pain associated with that still. Karmic relationships, fam- family relationships that maybe were painful. Maybe that is what caused a lot of harm for you, but you may need to take time to grieve it because as we get into these core wounds, one of the things that you're going to find is that you have some repressed emotions that you haven't dealt with. And the grieving is part of releasing them. Interestingly, we have asteroid Bridge opposing Neptune and Bridge making a trine with Pluto and Uranus. So that's almost like literally showing us that there's a bridge between timelines. But when Pluto and Uranus are aspecting each other, which they're going to be for a while, that is transformational energy. So we are developing new ways of being, becoming more of our true self. And this is allowing us to manifest the most productive timeline for ourselves. If we are not being our true self, then we're not going to be on our highest timeline. And the more that we're able to align with that true self, our soul, the more aligned we are to spirit and the higher our energy is going to be. Do watch out though for things to happen on the world stage in November, especially the first couple weeks of November. I did do a video last month where I talked about a message that I got that there could be something that happens, and my spirit guides told me like 4 to 6 weeks, so we're still in that window. And so I think while the planets are working together to help us, there's also some challenging volatile energy that may show up as well. So we all need to just keep our eyes for something like that to happen and not get too attached to what is going on and just kind of understand it for what it is. In general, in November, once again, we need to really stay focused. Stay away from things that you know are likely to trigger you and focus on your healing process instead. Maybe you want to stay away from current events or stay away from people that are very focused on current events and want to drag you into conversations that want to have a debate with you when they really want to argue with you. Instead, take that time to focus on you and what you can do to move yourself forward. Focus on being very, very grounded. It's so important as we're trying to come into that new timeline. And we often forget that the more grounded we are, the more spiritually connected we are. And we might think that when you're grounded, you're not spiritually connected, but it's actually the opposite. Really do your best to be as emotionally stable as possible. At the same time, when the emotions get triggered, don't hold them back. Express them. If you're angry, do something to allow you to express that anger and grieve it. Work on healing your body, eat clean, um, do that stretching, do some yoga, do breathing, do meditation. All of that can help keep your body calm. Another thing you might want to focus on is honing or developing the skills for your next step. Okay, so that new timeline, what are you going to be doing on that new timeline? You might be shifting career, you might be expanding your job, and so there might be things that you can learn. There might be classes or courses that you can take to help you hone those skills. I think in November, the SRTs that I'm going to be doing, I'm going to try to focus on some of these issues to just help clear, especially clearing the karmic and the childhood things. Also, don't forget to put protection around yourself. You probably, in this point in time, should be putting protection around yourself multiple times a day. Set a little reminder on your phone. But the truth is, sometimes you can do everything in your nature to protect yourself and you're still going to get attacked. But that doesn't mean that you can skip the protection. With the emotional flashbacks, when you get triggered and you go into that deep core wound, that emotional pain. Now, whether you went into that pain and that opened you up to an attack, or you were attacked and that sent you into that emotional pain, that's going to either make you very depressed or very angry or a combination of both. And when you're in that energy, you often don't want to do anything. It's almost like you can't help yourself to get out of it. And that dark energy is creating resistance in you, even when you know what you should do. You should meditate. You should go outside and ground. You should do stretching. Maybe you haven't been eating very healthy and you need to get back on track with that. You shouldn't have that drink, but you do anyways. That's what happens when you go into that. And yeah, it can be like you don't even have the energy to help yourself or to stop it. Or you could also say that your pain body gets so activated by that it doesn't want to change. It wants to stay in that negativity. That can be cleared with remote spirit release. I have been in a trigger and had someone clear me, and I can feel that energy just like lift off of me. And it's such a relief. But that doesn't mean that you don't have to go into the pattern. What I'm saying with that is, yes, that is something that we can help get you out of that negative energy. But by getting you out of that, it should open the door for you to then do some contemplation into what that trigger was about. So while you can remove some of the suffering by taking that energy off somebody, you still want to work through the core of that so that it doesn't come back again. We want to remove those things so we're free, and that's what we're really doing with that bridge. And now, as I said, our third eyes are expanded. It's easier than ever to be able to see those patterns. But remote spirit release does help with that. Plus, we're removing implants, we're removing certain types of karma can sometimes be removed. We're cutting cords, you know, as I've said before, we're working on many different levels, 15 to 20 different levels to help clear the energy field. Probably at the time I post this video, I am still offering a mini clearing for $89, but I'm not sure again how long it's going to be. Um, I didn't expect it to really go past October, but I feel that with all the attacks that people are under, I might just leave it for another week or two. So that is there. Or if you want to do some SRT work with me, I'll link my website below and you can order a remote session or an in-person session with me. So I'm going to really try. I know I haven't been very good with doing videos lately, but number one, I've been very busy, but also I'm focusing on my own process as well because I'm looking to jump on a much higher timeline. But I'm going to try to do that video about the new moon because I think that's going to be a very important shift for all of us. I'm going to try and talk about the twin flame energy for this month too. Until then, I'm sending you all a lot of love and I'll speak to you soon.